Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I want to come to you tonight with a very serious topic because this one kind of hits close to home. Tonight I'm just out here in the garage working on the last portion of a range report on this Nemo Arms, the Battle Light rifle, and this one is chambered in 6 ARC. Yeah, something very different, a gun designed for long distance shooting. But I'll talk about that in just a moment and some criticisms that I've gotten of some of my latest range reports. But anyway, I want to talk about uh, the big incident that happened here in the North Texas area, the town of Allen, to be more specific, at an outlet mall. I have to be careful about what I say because of the way that the YouTube algorithm is and how it automatically, censors or whatever. So you guys know what I'm talking about. And I want to talk about why it kind of hits home. Not only is it really close, because it took place about 15 to 20 minutes from where I live here in the Frisco area. And the place where it happened, I guess, was a store I'm familiar with called H&M. I guess it's a clothing store that caters mainly to young adults and teenagers. In fact, I have 4 amazing boys, and they're really my stepsons, but I consider them to be my own sons. And they like H&M, and in fact, they shop there. And the closest one to where we live here is in a place called the Stonebriar Mall, which is here in Frisco. And that one has been closed for a few months due to renovations. I guess they're redoing the store. And so they've gone to that one at that outlet mall in the recent past. In fact, one of my sons literally was at that store, I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. And they were even talking about it. I mean, this is before the incident even happened or occurred. He was saying, oh yeah, I was over there buying clothes, looking at stuff. And then, of course, that incident happened. And while I've never really been to that place, because you guys know I don't really care about fashion, you guys can tell from my videos, I'm aware of where that is. I've driven past that place many, many times. And what's even scarier is another son of mine was actually going to go to that exact store the day it happened, which would, as I'm filming this now, was yesterday. He was at another event. He's a musician. He was doing a concerto competition. And afterwards, he was going to go hang out with some of his friends. And he wanted to go to H&M. And he was going to go to that one in Allen. So he had changed his mind, I guess because of timing. And I guess when he would have been there would have been after the event happened. Or maybe not. I don't know. But he was planning on going with his friends. And that's kind of scary, isn't it? It's kind of crazy. And I told you guys that we're going to see these events just because it's the nature of humanity. There are evil people that walk among us. And whether or not they have access to firearms doesn't change their capacity to hurt other people. You know, one of the things that, of course, we're hearing the call for right now from anti-gun politicians is ban this, ban that. You guys know the whole rigmarole. But once they ban that, do they really do anything to help the people that have the capacity to do something like that? Because if they have the capacity to do something like that, what's going to stop them from getting another tool, whether it be a firearm that wouldn't be on the banned list? Because trust me, you can shoot a lever action rifle pretty darn fast. And you could also get a knife, or you could get a vehicle, and you can run people over, and you could hurt people. And that's not good. I mean, we all have access to these things, knives, cars, and so forth. And it doesn't stop anything because those people still walk among us and they have the capacity to hurt people. As I'm filming this, we don't know the exact motive and what caused it and what brought that person to commit it. But regardless, it's evil. It's pure evil. I mean, I have faced evil in my life. People that, I guess because they had emotions and felt like they had to lash out, they didn't care who they hurt. They just had to hurt people because it makes them feel better or feel stronger or something. And then when it's all over, well, in the case of this person, they were neutralized. I like that word. I like how the police have used that word, neutralized. Because they're not here to um, reap the glory that they wanted. Because the news media will make these people out probably eventually to be the victims themselves, like they have in the past. But it doesn't change the fact that they're evil, and there's other people. It could be your neighbors, could be your coworker, and it could even be a family member that has the capacity to do this in their heart. And it's scary. And still believe that as our society, and I feel like our society is degrading um, morally and ethically, because people want to push boundaries. They want to, they're just not satisfied with the way the world is. It's easy to say I'm a victim. And we all can have that feeling. Oh, it's somebody else's fault for me not, whatever it is, getting that job or getting that promotion or being at a certain station in life. It's somebody else's fault. It's not my fault because I'm a certain way and people don't like that or whatever. Or we spend so much time promoting victim mentality and promoting things that don't better our society. We have tens of thousands of years of history of what works based off of the human condition. For example, a nuclear family. Okay. Now, not everybody, based off of their circumstances, can have that, or it's healthy for them to keep that and maintain that. But in general, a nuclear family made up of a mother and father who have very specific roles and jobs to do within the family, typically, not always, it's not a 100% rule, raise good families and good women and good men. It's our job, and I see this all the time as a teacher, that it's my job to make good people out of these kids. That's my main job. Even though I teach music, that's not my main job. My main job is to make good people and teach them responsibility, time management, respect for others, respect for authority, but also confidence, the ability to make good decisions, to understand how the decisions that they make affect themselves and affect others. And it's something that every generation has to do for the next. My parents did it for me. I was very blessed. I'm still blessed to this day to have the parents that I do. Uh, my dad was one of the hardest working men I've ever known. And he was and still is an inspiration to me. And sometimes I feel like I don't live up to his expectations, but not in a bad way. It's just because he is of such good character and is so hardworking. My mom is extremely caring and extremely loving. I'm 43 years old now, and my mom still cares deeply. When there's bad weather here in Texas, she lives in a different state, and she'll message me and go, I hope that you're okay. Just thinking about you, hope the storms or whatever. And sometimes I kind of roll my eyes and go, Mom, come on, I'm 43, married with kids. But it's because she loves me, and she has shown me what, love and compassion is supposed to be. My father has shown me responsibility and hard work. And I think I turned out okay. And I feel like in today's society where we glorify things that are silly and stupid and against human nature, And I won't go into that uh, anymore because you guys know the cultural divide that's going on right now with things like the Bud Light um, fiasco and the boycott. People are just getting sick and tired of things that just don't seem normal, don't seem right, and seem different and weird that we've never experienced in society. That's what society focuses on and glorifies instead of strong nuclear families and people taking care of each other. We're going to have these events because evil walks among us. And in a society that glorifies and promotes this type of stuff, it's only going to get worse. And I think you guys need to go back and reference my video on my main channel where I talk about why we're going to lose our Second Amendment rights eventually. Because right now there's going to be another call for people to ban this, ban that, whatever, because that's the easy solution to this problem for them. Even though it's not a solution, in their mind it is a solution. But if they got all that they wanted, are they going to pass anything to help the mentally ill? No. No, they're not. They're going to promote it and say these people, for example, in some of the major cities around the country, you have homelessness at epidemic levels. And a lot of those people, they choose to be that way. They have options, but due to mental illness, a drug addiction, and various other factors, they choose that. And that's not good for our society. It's not good for them. But we glorify it and say, they have the right to do this. And you need to change who you are and the way that you live to accommodate them. And it's just our society is turning into something that we can't even recognize, or somebody that lived 30 years ago can't even recognize. And based off of things like social media algorithms, things that are promoted in society, it's all falling apart. It's all falling apart. And I really feel like society more and more hangs on a thread that can break at any time, because there's going to be a large contingency of people and good people that it right now tolerate so much. And one day it's going to reach a point they're going to say, no more. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to change this. People for the most part are pretty libertarian. They're pretty laissez-faire. They stay out of the affairs of others. And they have the concept that as long as you're not hurting me, as long as you're not depriving me of my rights and my liberties and my freedoms, you go do whatever it is you want to do, And to some extent, I, of course, agree with that as a libertarian. But libertarianism, I think, has to be coupled with, while not a legal morality, but a personal morality and a personal set of ethics, and also an intellectual base for it to work. You have to be aware of the freedom and the liberty, where it comes from, and how to preserve it, and how to be good people. So I believe that you need to be a good person, not because the government tells you to do it or things are written and codified into law, but because you want to do it, because you are a good person and understand that being a good person and treating others well and taking care of others and being kind to others is the right way of existing. And it brings fulfillment to you as well as fulfillment to others. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to express my thoughts because this one kind of hits a little close to home. It's very close to where I live. I know where the place is. I had a son that visited that exact store just a few days ago. And I had a son that was going to go to that store the day it happened. So yeah, kind of hit close to home. So anyway, what do you guys think? Maybe I'll make a video depending on the information that comes out. I've heard just sparse things, but I'll talk about it if it's worthy of it. And I'll do that on the main channel. But I just want to make this one here on the Texas Gun Vault too, just because the nature of what the video is. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention was about this range report. And this gun here, this Nemo Arms, is really designed for long-range precision shooting. And I've been getting some comments on my videos lately about people making fun of me, especially when I review rifles. They say that they laugh at me because I do it on a 25-yard range, or sometimes a 100-yard range. And I just want to say, and I am going to probably make a video about this for the main channel, of why I review the guns I do the way that I do. Because I always say I review guns from the perspective of being an average gun guy. Because I think that YouTube gives people false impressions of themselves, or it glorifies what they think they want to do, so people can like live this fantasy out. So let me give you an example. I know, and I'm going to talk about it in the beginning of the video, because if I don't do that, people will comment it. So when I review this, I'm going to tell people up front, I'm going to review this first at just 25 yards to make sure it functions, see what the trigger's like, and so forth. And then I go to a 100-yard range. But this rifle can go out to 1,000 yards. So I'm really only using it out to 10% of its designed capability. And for me, I'm reviewing this from the perspective of an average gun guy. So while this firearm is capable of much longer distances, I am reviewing this for somebody that might have the financial means and the desire to want to purchase this rifle, but might just be an average gun person in that they live in an urban or suburban area and they don't have access to a 1,000-yard range. I can tell you that I really don't have the time or the availability of a 1,000-yard range. And I fully admit that this rifle is capable of doing things out to those distances, and I just don't have the capacity to properly review them like that. So I review them going to a 100-yard range because I feel like somebody that really wants this rifle is probably going to be like me, kind of dorky, and just say, hey, I want it because it's high quality, I like the build, I like the design of it, I think it's just a cool machine. And they're not going to have access to a 1,000-yard range, but they're going to want to go to a 100-yard range, maybe they have access to, shoot it and enjoy it. And I'm curious what another average gun person would be thinking about this. Because sometimes I think people have false senses of the expectations of a gun or what they're capable of themselves. You know, I see this a lot on channels, very specialty channels. And by the way, I'm going to name a channel. Normally, I don't do this, but like the AK-47 Operators Union. Okay, great channel. Rob over there does a fantastic job. I like his presentation style. I think he gives a lot of great information. But I also think he gives a lot of AK owners and people that want to own an AK, unrealistic expectations of what they can do or what they should do with their rifle. Because they're not Rob. You know, they don't have access to the land or the training that he has or the knowledge that he has. But because they watch his videos, they're experts. And then they go around, and even though they've never shot an AK at certain distances or done certain drills or had to do them in some type of stress or use them in a stressful situation, that they now can judge other content creators on this pedestal and be like, well, because it's not done this way, it's not a good review. Just because Rob does it a different way. And I just kind of feel like, as I said, it gives viewers and content consumers unrealistic expectations of what a gun's capable of or what they should do with their firearm. Or it makes certain gun owners elitist. You know, as I said, I know people are going to tell me that my review on this firearm is going to be inadequate and sucks. And they're probably going to use some, language that's inappropriate, like they always do in my comment sections that I have to remove or ban them. And it's going to be because I don't take it out to 1,000 yards and I'm going to tell them, you can go watch other videos of people taking this gun out to 1,000 yards. If you're not interested in seeing what I offer for a certain type of gun owner, then don't watch my content. But they have this elitist attitude that because I'm not shooting it that way, I shouldn't review the rifle. I have no right to review the rifle. I've had someone tell me that recently, that because I don't shoot AR-15s out to 300 yards and do certain things, that I should not review them, and I'm a terrible reviewer, and so forth. But I find that to be a very elitist attitude, because what if somebody is, 55 years old, is really getting into ARs and long distance shooting, or wants to get into long distance shooting, or just appreciates ARs but have never really done it before, and they go out and buy this particular rifle, and they live inside a heavily urban or suburban area. They don't have the ability to go out to a 1,000-yard range, but they want to own this rifle. You can't tell them that they can't own it, or they can't use it, they can't enjoy it, or they can't appreciate it. I think it's just elitist, and that's something that I want to change in the gun culture. That I say, while I am not, for example, a competitive shooter, I don't judge people who are competitive shooters. I don't think they're less or, shouldn't have certain guns or shouldn't do certain things. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not, I have zero desire to be a competitive shooter. In fact, I have, when I go to my range and people are there practicing for matches, I sometimes just go home, because the whole atmosphere of competitive shooting just turns me off. It just turns me off. I don't like it. I don't like seeing the people do it. But it's not because I judge them. I just go, hey, it's a part of the firearms culture I'm just not interested in. But it's my personal thing. But they have the right to do it. I hope that they enjoy doing it, and I'm glad that it brings people into the Second Amendment. I just don't want to personally be around it. I feel the same way about hunting. I have never taken the life of an animal. I don't plan on it unless I absolutely have to survive and put food on the table for my family. I don't want to hurt any animal. So that's just how I am. So while I can appreciate the hunters, and I know they spend a lot of money on their rifles and their scopes and their hunting gear, it's just not for me. But the Second Amendment's for them as well. I'm not elitist about it. I think it's fantastic if they want to go out and collect Beretta, Pigeon double-barrel shotguns because they love skeet shooting. Well, more power to them. Not my thing. I like tactical firearms. But I think it's awesome that they're into firearms. I'm not elitist about it in any way, but I feel like other people are. And that's something I'm going to change. So when you guys see the review of this, check the comments, and you might see one being negative about it before I have the chance to, especially if they use a bad word. Now, if they're just negative and they're nice about it, I always leave that up, and I always respond to almost every comment. In fact, I think I have responded to every comment. But I'll leave it up. But once they start calling me a name or saying something that's derogatory, I just either delete the comment if they don't curse, but if they curse and call me a name, I ban them. And that's just because I want my channel to be a place of positivity over negativity. Going back to what I was talking about in the beginning of this video, I'm not going to let my channels be a place where people can hate, and I don't want to see anger, and I don't want to see just vile things. That's not what my channel is about. But anyway, I know this has been kind of a rambly video. My phone's telling me that I've been talking for 23 minutes and 45 seconds. So I better let you guys go. So I will talk to you later. Let me know what you think about the topics in this video. So, as always, thanks for watching.